Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Mr. Fernandez and...
Hey, I'm Christian Warner. Hello.
Hey, what's the matter with you? We're about to review Councilman DeFazio, directed by Tom Trivovich and written by Francis T. Perry Williams and Dottie Archibald, who provide the story. The teleplay was written by Dottie Archibald and the one and only Phil Foster, Frank himself. And this is the second episode that Phil Foster wrote. His other episode was Making Up and Breaking Up, which is another Frank-driven and Frank-supported and Frank-centric episode.
It's basically he created a bunch of duplicates of himself and he put that as support struts on the bottom of the episode.
DeFazio, enter the Frankverse. Here's what the episode's about. Frank's crony, career politician Clayton Pike arrives to schmooze with Frank and grab some kickbacks. When he declares that he's planning on building a huge new development where Cowboy Bill is standing next year, giving jobs to all of his relatives, Frank takes umbrage. Frank learns that his branch of Cowboy Bill is set to be demolished for the office building, and worse yet, he has no position in this new organization of Pike's. Suddenly emotionally attached to the outlet, he vows to run to city council to save his restaurant. With the whole gang working to get him elected, Frank soon finds himself debating on television, making public appearances, and stumping for votes. Will he be elected, or is Cowboy Bill doomed forever? Meanwhile, Laverne battles Mono when Squiggy puts the moves on one of Frank's campaign workers. What do you think of this episode?
I'll see. The question's vague, and I'm not sure it's possible how to answer. Well, in any case, I wouldn't hurt the child.
Frank is not a crook.
For those that are completely confused as to my response to that, that is a Futurama Richard Nixon joke.
Yeah, good work. Yeah. Oh, it's delight.
And I love that actually that came from an imitation of Nixon from, I think it was Laverne or one of those shows, and
Sock it to me.
And that was what Billy West did. Anyway, this is, as an episode, a strangely transitional episode. Like, it feels like a transformation episode because some rather major stuff takes place at the end. And yet, because of the fact it's the end of the show, you don't get to sort of experience the aftermath of it. And but it also creates a, I don't know, it's a hard one to buy into, but at the same time, I appreciate that it does do some things differently. And I think its message and kind of humor and satire, although a little bland, interesting and fun at times.
Yeah. It's a weird little episode that has its fun points. I actually like to do the Carmine slightly better than this one, in that it's kind of dull, but yeah, it's pretty funny. It's got some okay spots, like Squiggy desperately calling in as one of Frank's attempted constituents.
I do like, though, that Squiggy, when he does that, he ends up actually bringing up to the table some rather important and factual things. He doesn't actually blow it. He does a good thing.
Yeah. It shows his hidden depths. That's a lot of fun. That is a lot of fun. And it's nice to see him kind of make a connection with Leonetta, even though that probably is just like amounting to him having like pervy sex with her.
Yeah, the bright side is she looks like she's into it. The way that...
Yeah, she's very into it. She's very into his advances.
Yeah. As I mentioned, Leonetta, the campaign worker, as I had to yell out to you while we were watching the episode, that is indeed, for some of us who may find her familiar, her first credited role was in Track of the Moonbeast, riffed by MST3K during its Sci-Fi Channel days.
Moonrock, wow.
But she was... she didn't do a heck of a lot else aside from that and this episode and like Fantasy Island and The Walk On and Falcon Crest, but yeah, she's cute. That was kind of a cute aspect I liked in the episode. I like the debate scene. I thought was interesting, and Clayton Pike makes a rather fun antagonist to me because there's something so bald-faced in his or I guess straightforward.
Yeah, he's very blatantly a scumbag.
Exactly.
He's very blatantly a crooked politician, and he is fun to defeat, and he even takes his defeat in good grace. Eventually.
Yep.
Eventually. With time.
Yeah, eventually. I mean, he almost is like a Scooby-Doo villain in training.
Yes. We got away with it. It was a few meddling kids.
I would have gotten away with it too if it hadn't been for Frank DeFazio and that meddling squirrel. I mean, Squig. I mean,
Yeah.
what the hell? Whatever the hell a Squiggy
Never
is.
Squig. Yeah. What is a Squiggy? Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
So yeah, so I also appreciate how it pretty much just kind of hits the ground running at the beginning of the episode and just goes straight into Councilman Pike visiting Cowboy Bill's and that annual time of year when I come to visit the little people, the one who matters most, the ones I really care about. Do you have my check?
That was such a really great line, a really great entrance for him. Yeah, that was fun. The meat I don't put in my hamburgers. Why?
Yeah, Frank, you
Why?
understand how expensive it is now not to not print bumper stickers now, like the meat I don't put in my hamburgers. You're my kind of people.
Oh God! And then the current state of our world corruption does indeed make me hate this man. So he does a good job.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes more and more clear that Frank is in danger here of losing Cowboy Bills. And suddenly he cares about Cowboy Bills, even though he has been not the best steward of his particular part of the franchise.
And he's only been there for 3 years, you know? It's like there's that exchange about it's like 25 years building it from the ground. It's almost like you got to wonder what happened to the pizza bowl that this is bringing up, you know?
Yeah. It makes you worried. Makes you scared in a way to think about it. To be frank, what we end up with here is Frank kind of displacing all of his emotions out of the pizza bowl about everything he's lost over the past, 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And in the end, so now all of a sudden it's been 3 years since they've landed in California.
Right.
Which corresponds seasonal output. I guess that means...
Yeah, because that means this would be 68 then.
Yeah, it's still supposed to be 67 and allegedly. But, it's still allegedly 67. Allegedly. But if it's 68, that would be correct. That would be factually correct. The best kind of correct. So, Frank gets really mad. He's outraged. He's in high dungeon over this man. And the guy's like, whatever. I'm evil! That's what I do! I'm evil! So he goes...
I was going to say, yeah, you know, I mean, I understand, though, because that extra is back on that escalator.
I swear to God, I never noticed the extra until you bring them up.
He's there. He's there. He's got the brows.
Forever scrolling by. So he goes over to Laverne's place. And Laverne is in bed with Mono. Poor girl.
Mm-hmm.
Just lying there in agony. I will say her contraption is very ingenious.
I love it, and I love the stuff that's on it, too, because I made a list of some of the things that are there. She has a movie magazine, a banana, some pills, what I'm assuming is like some sort of painkiller, hot water thingy, a Dirty Helen book, and tissues.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's cute. It's very cute. I didn't even know you got snotty nose with Mono. I've never had it. Things I never knew.
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally know either, but my mother has a theory that she probably had mono that was undiagnosed by her doctor at one point.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, the way Laverne says banana absolutely made me laugh. Banana.
It's pretty good. There's a lot of really good, like, it's sad that this is like the real last time we get to see her focused in an episode, but she has some little moments that work really well. I guess I should say focused on comedically.
Yeah. She gets some good jokes in.
Exactly.
She gets some good jokes. She said, "What do you think I got it from a toilet seat?"
Yeah, well, it's kissing disease. It's like his mono.
Yeah.
It's like, what, you got it from kissing a toilet seat. Why would I kiss a toilet seat?
So cute, so cute. So I love Squiggy's Colonel Sanders outfit here in the next scene.
Oh my god. Yeah,
really good. But I did want to mention that Laverne is being very nice and very supportive here for her Poppy, and for her Poppy's attempt at trying to get something good to come out of this disaster. So I think that's sweet. I do indeed think that's adorable.
Yeah. And then, as soon as, of course, this whole conversation of what if I was him? Was him? What? It's like, what if I was him? of him saying, "What if I was the man?" Basically, what if I was City
Yeah.
Hall? And of
Yeah.
course, my mind goes back to Rocco's Modern Life, and you can't fight City Hall, you can't fight corporate America. They are big and we are small.
God, that show is so prescient. So prescient. We all grew up on this kind of stuff, and it's like, yeah.
It was a great bunch of writers, but yeah,
Yes, very much so.
But then of course he immediately has to ask his completely ill bedridden daughter, you make
Yeah.
the signs. And my note is, but delirious Laverne can't do the things.
Poor delirious Laverne will have to do it with heart and verve and delusions.
Yeah. And
Poor
so
girl.
instead of vote for DeFazio, it's gonna say, vote for DeFazio, and it's like the face, and it's just like this weird smiley face on there, and it's all distorted, and people think it's like an Andy Warhol.
Yeah. See, it looks like my soul. It looks like my tramped upon soul.
I do love the actual poster when they go to the campaign office version of Cowboy Bill says, "Hey you, vote for me, DeFazio."
That's funny. The fact that that's the campaign slogan is hilarious. I will say that. That's the consistent campaign slogan in every single poster. So Squiggy enters and sees Leonetta. I like the way he tugs on her skirt to get her attention. That's cute.
It's cute, but it was pretty harassy in my opinion, and my take on it. But I do like she was the gal who
she's willing to be harassed.
She did answer the ad in the Hollywood Squealer.
Yeah,
so.
Which is amazing name for a tabloid. I love that we learned so much about Leonetta, even though we're never going to see her again.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, we learned so much about her and about her pig farming daddy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I helped my father on the farm. He hasn't been the same since he didn't set the parking brake on the harvester. Oh boy.
I don't believe they got away with that joke.
I can't believe they got away with the joke where he raises the best tomatoes. And he's looking at her chest like, oh, because that calls back to tomatoes being a euphemism in the last episode and Do the Carmine, where where Squiggy misinterprets when it's like, Squig, get your box off my tomatoes. And it's like, I beg your pardon, and he goes, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you meant something else.
Yeah, that's a great one. That is a great one. That is a good callback.
So you're the farmer's daughter. I've heard so much about you.
It's a saucy tale. Oh, yes, that's
have you heard the one about you and about the farmer's daughter and the one about you and the traveling salesman?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
What about you and the traveling salesman? So filthy. My repeated note here is filthy. Filthy.
Was this like a Gary Marshall thing that he believed that all farm girls were just like secretly horny because they never went anywhere?
Yeah, all farm girls were willing to pull out because he heard about it in the military.
Sorry, what?
All farm girls were willing to put out because that's the joke about the farm.
Willing to put out. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm afraid that's what you thought I
said. That all farm girls want you to pull out. Use the pull out method. Oh my god.
Not quite. That's what I was going for. Oh my god.
Well, it's close. I was in the ballpark.
Yeah, you're close.
It's the same sport.
They would all prefer that because they would rather not have a shotgun wedding. Ba-doom, boom.
Dude, hey, there you go. Bringing it back to Shotgun Wedding Season 5. Hey, there you go.
Memories of the way things didn't suck.
Yep. Anyway, Rhonda's whole bit about her doing door to door with the list of all the single producers and directors, I thought was really cute, very Rhonda.
Yeah.
And my mom had to point out she loved the little mustache for the kitties.
Yeah, that's cute. And everybody's so afraid that something's going to happen to her. She's a grown woman. Let her do her thing.
Not to mention, she looks strong enough that she could snap a man in half. Most men, especially.
Now, this joke only works because of the DVD order. I wrote in all caps, hey, wait, Carmine's back.
Oh, right. Yeah, because as mentioned, we're trying to do this in the order of way they were aired, because on the DVD and other syndication formats, this one goes after. And, and then Carmine's here for some reason.
Yeah. Also, for no reason, here's Carmine. Those were the days. Notice that Squiggy has finally been granted access to one of Frank's vehicles.
Yes. Since when do you trust Squiggy with the keys to your car? Since I run against Pike, I don't trust him. And I do like the idea that Councilman Pike is corrupt and evil, but he wouldn't waste dynamite on somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a terrible person, but he wouldn't kill somebody with dynamite.
Because, he could use that dynamite elsewhere. Although, when we find out about the construction business, we definitely understand why dynamite was brought up.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I do love a character connected to him that's coming up.
Yes, I do too, and there's an awesome bunch of trivia about that woman.
Oh, okay, I'm super interested. Super interested a lot. Then, of course, our reporter shows up with our other councilman, trying to get some publicity here.
And that is the writer of the episode, by the way. That's Dottie.
Girl Dottie. Making an appearance and doing very well for herself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no rumor. I'm Frank DeFazio.
Yeah, I'm no rumor. I'm Frank DeFazio. Hey.
He's a bum.
Would you care to elaborate that? Yeah, he's a big bum.
That's good. Yes, tell us more about Dottie.
So Dottie, she, as mentioned, was co-writer of this episode, and now, as an actor, she showed up in a few on-screen roles. She was also in They Call Me Bruce, which I think we mentioned a few episodes ago. Yeah. She was the patient who almost got licked in Young Doctors in Love for Gary Marshall.
Oh.
She also plays Mrs. Fraser in Summer School, directed by Carl Reiner and co-written by Jeff Franklin.
Awesome.
Also, kudos to her for also surviving being in Vasectomy, A Delicate Matter, which I think Wayne Powers, who's in this episode, was also in. Yeah, somebody else was in Vasectomy, but...
That's great. That's amazing. That is an amazing thing. Okay, now let me complain. Frank is talking about being in a debate team, talking about World War II. We know Frank served in World War II. It's a huge part of his backstory.
I didn't catch that. Well, that is unless it's like he did the GI Bill and tried to go to college and was on the debate team there.
Like, it's possible, but he served. He has a whole thing in about Anzio. We literally had this earlier in the season. Mm-hmm. There was a whole bunch of plot about it. He was a battling baker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had the battling baker's hat.
Yeah. And the show chooses to ignore that. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, but it's... forget it, Lisa. It's season 8.
Forget it. It is indeed Chinatown, my sister, my daughter, etc. So now we head into the debate, which is really pretty fun.
It is pretty good. Also, I love the closed set sign. My note is, hi, Paramount Studios B-roll.
So it is. Poor Frank being a deer in headlights.
Yeah, he's got the wide-eye Frank stare when camera's on him, just like he did in 5th Anniversary as well.
Yep. Not good on camera, the poor guy. He's going to be on camera a lot as a councilman. He better get used to it. Which is a spoiler for how the episode ends, but I think y'all know how the episode ends. The first woman who calls in, oh my god. They're too rough with my can. If you don't believe me, ask my husband.
Yeah, the euphemism. On multiple layers. I was a little bored about that one. But yeah, of course, Pike with this question goes for the women vote. And it's like, I believe that women can also do garbage collection and therefore more jobs.
Abortions for some, miniature American flags for others.
Right.
It's very much that kind of an answer, and that's what makes this character terrible and great.
Yep.
Because he's awful.
Yeah, and Pop going, it's like, why don't they eat out? I don't even got any garbage then, huh? I got a Cowboy Bill's, I got a special on breakfast. And he goes, some special, no coffee. So I love the no coffee thing with from Pike. That's a great, sort of a shot fired across the line.
Yeah, it's really good. And then, of course, Squiggy calls in. And Max asks some pertinent questions. Good for him.
Well, also, okay, I have to say, though, next caller. All right, let's get to our next caller. We need to talk to some people with some very serious problems. Hello.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a great hello line. That's probably the best one.
That's my favorite in season 8, for sure. That's my favorite hello gag in season 8.
Yeah.
And Rudy, turn the TV down. You're regular sized. That's my joke about the feedback.
I love Squig, of course, wouldn't know to do that either. But yes.
Yep. And it turns out that Squiggy does ask the very important question, though, that he connects with the issue. What about owning Pike Construction Company, Pike's Pizza? And Frank, I love, jumps on that because, he's known this guy for 3 years now. And he's like, he doesn't own Pike Construction or Pike's Pizza. His mother does.
Boom, boom, boom. Right for the jugular, baby. Right for the jugular.
This is why you don't want to get into a debate brawl with a New York Italian.
Yeah, he will bury you. He will end you.
Mm-hmm.
He will do it with a smile on his face.
Just like you don't want to outsmoke a Portland hippie.
Oh! Yeah, you'll smell like pot for the rest of your life.
And they'll be fine.
Unless they're allergic to it. But yeah, I did know that line. His mother does. That Frank blows a hole in the guy's campaign because he's not as self-made as he insists.
Yep. And, he goes into his big spiel.
Yep. And somehow the campaign, I think, has lasts like a week. Because Laverne still has mono, somehow. Mm-hmm. But we've had an entire campaign somehow happen. Right down to election night. My note is mini-skirt campaign managers. And at least Frank is actually feeding these people. Mm-hmm. As we head into election night. I noticed a really neat Evita Peronish framing of Frank in the window at the restaurants. My note is very Vita Perone framing Tom.
That is nice. Yeah. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. That's good.
Yeah. Squiggy's enjoying this way too much. He's really enjoying this entire situation way too much. DeFazio.
Yeah, DeFazio. Yeah, there's Wayne Powers as the news anchor that starts, because this is based on election night. We've now dissolved from the debate to election night. We just go straight to it. And I do also like when he first comes up to speak, Frank goes, "No, I'm not one to make long speeches," and they all go, "Yay!"
Yeah.
My mother got a big laugh out of.
That's funny. That's good and funny.
When Carmine turns on the television set, I thought it was really cute that Carmine boosting him up, and this kind of gets called back to in the final episode, where Carmine says to Frank, because he's feeling a little nervous, he calls him champ. I felt that was really cute. That was it was a great, nice little bit of a role reversal.
He's definitely gassing him up. It's really great.
Yeah. Because think about how many times Carmine has come into the Pizza Bowl during his boxing days, then tried to get it, and just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. This guy's going to clobber me. And him just, and Frank only calling him champ under those circumstances, saying like, "Come on, champ, don't worry about it. You're gonna do fine. You're gonna look that guy straight in the eye. He's gonna fall into a little puddle, he's gonna fall into a puddle of poodle. He's just gonna be a little puppy." But so anyway,
incredibly cute.
Anyway, so we now get Wayne Powers as the television newscaster, with DeFazio has 1 vote.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew that was wrong. DeFazio has 12 votes. That's 1,471 to 12. And Squig's response.
I won the pool. So mean.
So
mean. The fact that he actually has they actually had a bet on this.
Yes.
They had a bet on this.
I don't know if you can overhear this really clearly, but they also talk, because, on election night, and one detail I love about this episode's writing is they have different stuff, like different elections and different stuff being called, at different times. And the newscaster mentions Proposition H is in a tight squeeze.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and in a tight squeeze. And then you eventually find out the other propositions that were on the bill. Like a regulation that demands people not say "have a nice day"
at supermarkets. Yeah, supermarket employees
checkers.
Supermarket yeah, exactly. Yeah, the register biscuits are not allowed to say that.
Yeah. So that was funny. The tight squeeze, filthy, very filthy, absolutely very filthy.
And we know Mary voted for Frank, which is really sweet.
Yeah. I noted that. Good old loyal Mary. I did have a note about that.
And the cook did too. He raised his hand.
Yeah. And presumably Laverne did, and other people, because Laverne said she did go out. She shouldn't have done with mono, but hey.
Mm-hmm.
And none of these people voted if they showed up to eat, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. I will say it's very American, though.
Yeah, true. Tragically, very, very true.
God, the amount of people I know who don't vote as a quote-unquote act of protest or centrism is a bit disturbing.
Yeah. That you're not helping anything by not voting, to be frank.
Anyway, back on track, though. So then Squig gets Leonetta and says, "What do you say we go back to my place and play the Swedish farm girl and discontented cow?" And she goes, "Okay." And he goes, "Oh, you know the game." And she giggles and nods, which is why I then had to make note. Wow, the horny farm girl.
Filthy.
Mm-hmm.
It is so filthy. So very, very filthy. Yep. Yeah, So she's gonna give him a hand job. There we go.
Yeah, let's just be out with it. Let's we I kept saying we were going to make this the explicit season, and there we go. Boom, another one.
There you go. Boom.
Rhonda looking on the bright side, I thought was very sweet. She was she meant well. She's trying.
She did, yeah, and so's Carmine. They're both trying, but Frank's not here for it. He's depressed.
Yep.
And enter Pike's mother as this amazingly wonderful butch, funny as hell, a construction lady.
Right. So she comes in, she just completely owns the scene, and understandably so, because Connie Sawyer plays Mother Pike, is another case of this show touching history.
Yeah.
She was apparently, when she passed away, the oldest working actor in Hollywood history, and still is, I think, currently as of 2023.
No way.
She had a career that started in 1953 on Armstrong Circle Theater and ended only in 2014 in a couple of episodes of Ray Donovan.
That's amazing.
So she played bit parts on TV, turns in movies like The Way West and Bonfire of the Vanities. She was everywhere. Known by some as the Clown Princess of Comedy. Absolutely look up this woman's career. Now, younger listeners, if you watch this episode and think to yourselves, gosh, she seems familiar somehow, you might be recognizing her from Pineapple Express. Because that's right, that is Saul Silver's Bubby.
I love that. Oh, that's terrific.
Terrific. She did pass away in 2018, but she lived to the age of 105. What a fucking run.
And she was working right up to that point.
Yeah, like 4 years of downtime, and then she kicks the bucket. Like, that's fucking great.
Wow.
What a legend.
That's a life. That is awesome. Well, she was a legend. She's a badass, and she is great in this part.
Oh, yeah. Look at this cheap furniture and linoleum. What a dump. And it's like, we don't tear these we don't bulldoze these places. We blow them up. Oh, man.
So much joy on this. Make a pizza joint.
Yeah, just make a pizza joint. Just go make a pizza joint. Go invent Pizza Hut, goddammit.
Yeah. That's what Frank should do. To be frank. Get ahead of it. Let's be frank about Frank. But yes, poor Frank is dejected. He heads to Laverne's place.
We do have the sad saying goodbye to Cowboy Bills. Like, even Rhonda's the one I think who says it. We're saying goodbye to Cowboy Bills.
Yeah.
That felt very final.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. And I don't even think the cast knew at the time that was the end of it. So, yeah. Yeah, they are in a way absolutely saying goodbye to Cowboy Bills here. And it would be sad. It would be sadder if Frank actually cared about the place, and he did not. Yeah,
just want to be done with it.
Yeah, and also not care about the kind of food he was serving at all.
Yeah, and that's the problem I have with. We're gonna get to this, I think, we're almost done synopsing the episode. We should definitely cover that and start talking about pros and cons and the issues, because that is a consistent problem I have with this one.
Me too.
But yeah, anyway, so he gave it the old college try. Thinks he's lost. He's going depressed, and life is so unfair. Life stinks. And then he goes. Then after dumping all this on Laverne, he goes, "Don't let me ruin your evening." And then that's when the turn happens. Yeah. And we find out that Clayton Pike was overtaken by DeFazio, and he wins.
He wins. I feel terrific. I feel sick.
Yeah. And he's like, "Don't kiss me, don't kiss me." And he shakes his daughter's hand because she's still ill.
Yep. And Laverne immediately takes this as an excuse to get her parking ticket fixed. With some lasagna, her family lasagna.
Yep.
You gotta love a man who can be bought up for noodles.
And what was with the hat toss? What the fuck was that? And the line delivery, that was weird. That I didn't jive with that, man. That was gotta love a man who could be bought for noodles, and then tossing the hat. Like, Penny, what are you on right now? Are you on sadness? Do you have sadness in your heart?
It was very much a Mary Tyler Moore gesture, but I think it was supposed to be a celebratory gesture for Laverne. I found that decently all right, like acceptable, but a little silly.
Anyways, now we get the tag.
Go
ahead. Yeah, exactly. Congrats from Pike. No hard feelings? Why should I have any hard feelings? I won.
And then Frank gets to brag, and it turns out he isn't doing corruption. He actually paid off Laverne's ticket for her.
You paid it? You paid the parking ticket? With that attitude, you'll never make it in politics.
Boom. And this is technically how the show ends in a way, with little Laverne and no Shirley.
Yep.
That's what I know.
Oh God.
Yeah, and that's how we end. That's how we end with the jokey corruption thing.
And the jokey corruption thing is interesting because you have the you'll never make it in politics from both sides. You have you're too honest and you're too this. I do like Pike saying that I can get you a low bid if you actually make the office building. I can get you a connection with with his business basically. And ask anybody, I'm the lowest. That is a fantastic setup for that line. On that we agree. Yeah, if this had happened 1 to 2 seasons ago, this would have worked so much better.
Yeah.
It's like Do the Carmine. This comes like years too late in the show's run.
Yeah. In a way, it gives both Frank and Squiggy happy endings, because I guess Squiggy's gonna be forever, like could conceivably forever be a part of Frank's government, and he finally gets a calmly blonde girl who's interested in his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, he gets a happy ending. Frank gets a happy ending after floundering post being left by Edna. He gets to become a politician, and he keeps his restaurant, so he gets the best of both worlds. So pretty much everybody has a decent ending except for Laverne and Lenny, like I said before. So, like in a way, it's good. In a way, it could be better, and it could be worse. But it comes way too late, and it comes after way too many months and too many years of Frank insisting, making jokes about how terrible the Cowboy Bill's cuisine is, making jokes about how badly he treats his employees. All of a sudden, he's supposed to care so much about this restaurant when he's shown that he hates the big strictures of cooking barbecue, wanted to go back to pizza earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes no sense that all of a sudden he would throw all caution in the wind instead of just taking a good payout and then like sinking his money into like a small pizza joint.
Exactly. Go back to doing a hole in the wall pizza place or a little kind of one of those little specialty shops, on the coast. Like, cause it feels weird. It just doesn't. It's bizarre. I don't like it.
If they hadn't done all of this out of character stuff with Frank, being a bad employer and serving bad food and taking pride in being cheap and serving bad food, then this would make sense. Because this is very earlier seasons Frank.
Yeah,
otherwise.
I think so.
Yeah.
This is more,
Yeah, Milwaukee Frank.
It's exactly. It's Milwaukee Frank. It's more season 3, season 4 Frank at most. And I'm left with this again sort of hollow feeling. Like being able to talk about the synopsis of the episode, I didn't have as much issue with it, but I don't enjoy watching it very much. That's the weird thing. I like it on a conceptual level, but it feels very flatly directed. The satire has no bite. And it has a little bit of bite, but very like safe post Nixon bite. It doesn't have a I don't know. Just there is a key pivotal. You know what I think it's missing? It's missing Edna. That's what it's missing.
Yeah. And Shirley would be an incredible campaign manager.
Oh yeah.
She would throw herself right into this.
Oh yeah. She'd be terrifying as a campaign manager, in my opinion. Almost like watching Stephanopoulos on the phone in the Clinton documentary and seeing him make those interesting phone calls when you understand the historical context. You know which ones I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel at the end of this episode that the other thing also, I think there's something about the sense of victory you get at the conclusion that doesn't click for me, given that as a person who manages a business, he would have to quit the job at Cowboy Bill's anyway. That would no longer be his job as anyway, because as a city councilman, he's going to have greater responsibilities. There's going to be certain elements of recusing himself. And obviously, recorded this in 2023, so, the whole Supreme Court thing is still very fresh in our minds. But it's, God, how to put it exactly? But it needs that little button. The tag is like just a little too much, a little too little, but it's not quite there. So, anyway, So we've got a few more names to talk about in front of the camera and behind the camera. I do have a question because we had 5 guest actors. Did you have I'm assuming you have. I know which one your favorite is, but what is your favorite and why?
100% it is his mother, the construction woman. She is so salty and so cool and so badass.
See, that's why we needed Edna. Her and Betty squaring off.
That would be so great. Oh, that would be so
Oh
great.
man, I think they both would have loved it. Yeah, so we talked a lot about the Clayton Pike character, but yeah, he's played by Shecky Green. He was another legend of comedy. He actually made it in the National Comedy Hall of Fame in 2020. His career spanned nearly 50 years, from the NBC Comedy Hour in 1956 to an episode of Hollywood Off Ramp in 2000. But in the middle of all that, he's got episodes of Combat, a part as Marcus Vindictus in History of the World Part 1, a small role in Tony Rome, and of course, the A-Team, playing himself. He actually also popped up in Roseanne in 1995 and Mad About You in 1997.
Oh.
Although obviously he's retired, Shecky seems to still be kicking at the age of 97 as of this recording, so yowza. He also, if again this guy's face looks kind of familiar, he was a regular guest and even guest host for The Tonight Show from 68 to 79. Apparently, he had some kind of falling out with Johnny Carson after 79, and so he never really came back. But yeah.
Sweet.
And then, we talked about Dottie Archibald. So Francine Kessler was Leonetta, the Track of the Moon Beast blonde. Wayne Powers, TV anchorman. So as said before, he has appeared on the show prior in season 4 as 2 different cop characters, and we saw him briefly in Please Don't Feed the Buzzards a few episodes ago as one of the military scientists in the radiation suits. Now, his career continued in stand-up and acting, including a regular role in 13 East from 89 to 90. You can find clips of it. He is almost unrecognizable, not just simply given the fact that age hit him kind of hard after this, but he's able to play a very different kind of character. And it's a much more traditional sitcom actor performance, but it is fascinating. The thing, though, that was cool to find out is looking at Wayne Powers, but he got a regular gig as a radio host in the 90s and 2000s, which you can find details about on his own personal website that is still up and kicking. So look up Wayne Powers, actor, and you should be able to find his website. It's very neat.
That is neat. That's really cool.
So
cool.
We also saw Francis T. Perry Williams, the story by credit guy, as an actor. Do you want to guess which episode we saw him in, my dear?
Oh, gosh. Ooh. Oh, this should be familiar to me, and it's not. Go ahead and spill.
He was one of the cops in Death Row Part 1.
Oh, well, heck. Heck. I should have recognized.
Now, this is his only writing credit, but he does also pop up in an episode of Happy Days in 83 as Private Perry, and shows up as 2 different cops in the series Valerie during its 1987 season. So we didn't get a chance to talk about Dottie Archibald as a writer. She has shown up before as an actor as Mrs. Swisher in Lightning Man last season. She was the mother of the misbehaving kid. She showed up, as we mentioned, this episode as reporter Karen. As a writer, she ended up working on a whopping 34 episodes of The Will Shriner Show in 1987, an episode of Malloy, and the TV movie Luis Duarte, The Secret Life of Barry's Wife. Now, she was an active stand-up comedian in the era as well, and many of her very hilarious clips from an evening at the Improv are up on YouTube, which I highly recommend. I passed those over to Lisa here the other day.
I saw those, yeah. She's good. She's very good.
That bit about the neat freak clean, like, that made me sad that it's like this good of a writer and comedian not being let loose with Shirley.
Oh, man, she would have done great.
The story about her, the story in the Improv bit about the neighbor, Judy, the one from the Mace class. So she's the clean freak thing. They had 3 kids. They used to have 3 kids, but they only have 2 now because one of them decided to touch the couch.
That feels like something Shirley would do, and yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. She would have been great. She would have been great writing her.
Oh, and I look down and she's flossing my dog's teeth. Oh man.
Oh, that's great. She's super talented.
I think so. Yeah, and her dry wit on stage is incredible. So yeah, it was great. My mother also loved the clip because she looked at her and said, "Oh, I used to have my hair like that in '83." Anyway, Phil Foster, though, returning on teleplay duties, as you mentioned, for Breaking Up and Making Up at the end of season 3.
Yes.
He did not get a lot of credits as a writer, but himself, he was a comedian that worked the club scene through the 50s and 60s, even on stage for amateur shows with another beginner by the name of Jackie Gleason. This is back when he was like a kid, like in his teens and 20s.
That's cool.
As we were mentioning off pod, that he actually had helped Gary Marshall get one of his earliest gigs writing comedy for Joey Bishop. So I don't know about you, but I find it kind of fitting that at the end of the show's run, Phil Foster returns to the typewriter to get writing some punch-ups for a script. I think that's pretty cool.
That is neat. That's super neat. That is really nice. Phil, of course, did a lot of Borscht Belt style comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is how he ended up on Gary's radar. Because he gave Gary his start, Phil ended up with the role of Frank DeFazio. And that's how he ended up in this show. And I think that's sweet.
That's pretty awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, aside from this and some of his 1950s short narratives, the only other credited writing gig for old 5L Feldman was a segment of The Love Boat.
The Love Boat.
And of course, directed by Tom Turbovic. One more to go, Tommy boy. 33 down now. So we'll 30 something anyway. I don't even know. I actually think I got that wrong when I wrote that down.
No, I think you got it right.
All right, ranking time. Let's freaking go, man.
Yeah, for me, solid mid-level 5 because 5.4. This is a pretty darn good episode for late season 8, but the premise makes no sense. The premise makes no sense because Frank has repeatedly spoken about how little he cares.
Yep. So I get the feeling then, yeah, it might fluctuate with time for me, but I'm going to give this a 5 for now, or 4.5 for now. It's a good episode. It's a good episode, but it's definitely a bit bland. It's another one of those, I prefer talking about it than necessarily watching it, which is something I've said before, and I don't think I think actually it might be the last time I get to say that because no spoilers on my opinions of Hair Tomorrow, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Anyway, but yeah, it's a cromulent episode. There's some fun aspects to it. It's more watchable than some of the lesser notes of season 8 and even some of the lesser like season 4 and season 6 episodes. I felt this was better than. But yeah, so I guess. Yeah, I think that's it. So cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's a question: would you vote for DeFazio?
Frank is an honest man, and his opponent was a jerkhole. So yeah.
Right on.
There's a pretty easy moral question that voting for Frank would probably be a decent idea. Though he might end up with all of his labor violations being exposed. He's committed over the season.
Yeah.
So you never know. Frank DeFazio. He seems like a kind man. He seems like a very non-corrupt, good politician. But did you know that he locked his favorite waitress in the women's room? Because he was mad at his multi-time divorced ex-wife? This message paid for by Jerkwads Incorporated.
Jerkwads Incorporated, care of the Pike Institute for Corrupt Assholes.
There you go.
Offer void in Utah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for 9 After 9. And if you would like to know more, you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, Patreon, and wherever good podcasts may be found as Night After Night Pod, or find us on Twitter at Night After Night PC. And yeah, so I feel this strange feeling like something's big and poofy on the horizon. Hang on, what is that? Is that a hairball?
It's a big old fro. It all comes down to this. Carmine leaves LA to make a career for himself in New York. Will he find brickbats or bouquets waiting for him on the Great White Way? This is Hair today, gone tomorrow.
You know, I've never seen Hair.
Gasp, you should. You need to.
Yeah, I hear it's a treat.
Oh, now I'm sad.
Oh, I'm
All right,
sorry.
Pete Williams. Bye, y'all. And for heaven's sake, vote for Frank DeFazio or else!
This message brought to you by Hey You, vote for Frank DeFazio Limited.